A game warden, a marketing wizard, and a gun builder jump on a podcast. What happens next is entirely up to them.
I'm KJ. You found the right place. We go all over this little blue orb, sharing stories and tactics about chasing wild game. Now, let's get on the hunt.
Welcome into Gun Talk Hunt. I'm your host, KJ, and this episode is brought to you by Hodgdon Powders, Ruger, Vortex Optics, Remington Ammunition, and Range Ready Studios. Now, today's episode, we're going from conservation to crazy gun builds, and our panel ranges from Louisiana all the way up to Iowa and Oklahoma in between. And on today's panel, we're going to get started with Mr. Jeremy King out of Iowa. He is the top game warden up there when it comes to whitetail. So if you've got any nefarious actions going on in the whitetail world in Iowa, you're probably being chased by this man. Jeremy, welcome in. Man.
And full disclosure, I did get the 24 Iowa National Wild Turkey Federation Officer of the Year. So maybe we got to shift that away from the deer and we'll just go towards turkey now.
Okay. I mean, well, but you do everything. I mean, it's not you're not just in the deer woods. You do it all. So so we talk about conservation and what that means to hunters and why we hunt. Hunters are the greatest conservationists out there. No doubt about it. So when we talk about like where our conservation funds and go, what does that really mean when you hear conservation funding?
Yeah, that's a great question. And boy, we could spend hours on that alone. How the funding gets to the resources that we get to enjoy, that we use, is through a couple different avenues. Most states, and I can speak for Iowa specifically, our DNR, Department of Natural Resources, that manages public lands and waters, we are self-funded. So we get zero tax dollars from the taxpayers. If people don't buy hunting licenses or fishing licenses or boat stickers, we don't have funding to do our job to protect and manage the resource. So that's an important thing. So like you mentioned, those people that are invested and engaged in the outdoors by buying a license, those license holders, help fund the passions that they enjoy through us at a local level. But then you can get into stuff like the federal, the Pittman-Robertson Act, which was enacted, I believe, in 1937, that put a tax, like 11% excise tax on ammunition, guns, archery equipment, and other little things like that. And then they have some formulas that kind of mix that up to kick that money out to different states based on the formulas that they have. And I'm not sure what that formula is.
Right.
I just know that money does get to our state. And sometimes it's earmarked for specific things. And it's addressed, and it has to go straight to that stuff. Yeah. You got other crazy things like the duck stamp, which is kind of misleading. It's a waterfowl stamp that is required if you're hunting ducks or geese. That money, like 98% of it, I believe, goes directly back to the resource. So that's buying pothole, stuff in the prairie pothole region, typically like the Dakotas. Iowa has a little bit of that, especially Minnesota is also another one.
So I'm sitting here thinking when you're talking about this and conservation funding in general, what do you think the biggest, the biggest like misunderstanding in conservation funding? What would you consider like the public's perception of that would be?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks, and I hear this often at working, that my taxes pay your wages. And that's probably the biggest misconception locally, that no, they don't. If you buy a license, now you pay my wages, but I also pay my own wages when I'm buying my licenses, and I don't even listen to myself sometimes. So that's probably the biggest misconception, is that we are funded through taxes. In a way it is, but it's a self-choosing tax, if that makes sense.
I would love to hear that and go, man, I'm practically losing money working my job. Like I am losing money because I buy probably way more crap than you do. Like that's how I feel sometimes working the firearms industry, because people are like, man, you get all the good deals. It costs money and I buy a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing too is, at least in the natural resource world as a game warden, is a lot of people think that when I write you a ticket, or you in Iowa, if it's a big enough deer over 150 inches, we can charge you up to $20,000 for that deer.
Ooh.
And most people are like, "Oh, you're just out there raising money for your department." Truth be told, we don't get a nickel of it. We can't get a nickel of that money because those deer, the turkey, the fish that you would take from the state of Iowa, in a sense, if you want to use the word poach, those animals belong to the citizens of Iowa. So every nickel goes back to the governor into the general fund, and currently our governor, she gets to disseminate that money wherever she feels fit. So the DNR doesn't get a nickel of it. And so when we write those tickets, I like to tell people, like, if you buy a fishing license, it's roughly $20. I write you a ticket for not having a fishing license, about $120. I'm not a math major, but at $20, and it goes back to the resource that you love and you're engaged in, $120, and it doesn't help us make the fishing better for you.
Yeah, that's nuts. I don't think of some of those things that you brought up, but that is perception. I mean, yeah, I always think, well, it's not. I never think that it's going back to the department, but I don't know. I don't put those things together. Well, another cool thing you're actually doing is you are running for state representative out of your area. Is that correct?
I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. That is correct. Yes, I started that endeavor on March 7th of this year.
All right. What's your slogan?
Restoring integrity is my slogan.
All right. So going back to integrity, let's talk about legislation. Let's talk a little bit like legislation that could make or break like public access in your state. And this has been happening all over the West, whether you're talking about corner crossings or land access. How could that make or break? What are your goals? I guess let's talk about like what are your goals on legislation for the hunters, and what should other hunters look at in their state or be aware of?
Wow. KJ, that's a lot, man. Yeah, you can, like, the highlight has been the corner crossing issues, and that's been pretty well established now by the court system. Yep. So I think that's an answer. We don't have that I've never been brought up in 20 plus years of being an officer here, having somebody corner hop or something like that. I know that's more of a Western United States deal. The issues that we see is we have currently in 2023, anyways, pull up those numbers, 6.9% of Iowans held a hunting license of some sort. So we have 100 House representatives, 50 senators. You do that math, that's about 10 legislators that hold a hunting license to some point. 6.7% is it's disappointing that we don't have more representation at the state house that would be engaged in making laws and deciding how the sportsmen and women of Iowa and people who are coming here to hunt, how they get to use those resources. I've seen over the course of my career biologists who don't get the chance to implement sound biology because the laws have gradually changed over the course of time, where legislators have to approve the DNR's biology plan, basically. Yeah. And anytime you start intermixing that sort of stuff, where you have special interests that are shoving their agenda through legislators. Example, last year we had a bill introduced by a Republican House person that would make it illegal for the state of Iowa and the DNR to buy buy land from a nonprofit or at auction. They feel that the DNR owns enough land, that there's enough public land, specifically in the state of Iowa, which is less than 1% of all the land in Iowa is owned publicly. Yeah. So we are one of the worst states in the entire country as far as public land access, but yet legislators are attacking that, finding ways so we can't buy more land. And I'm not saying that we are taking it from farmers. These are people at auction where maybe we can pay more, or a nonprofit like a church group or something owns it that wants to sell it to us. We aren't allowed to do that. Luckily, that bill did not get through, but it'll be brought back up again this year.
Man. Well, I'm telling you what, it's always exciting to see guys going after something that they're passionate about. And I know you are, man. So deer season is approaching. It's approaching very quickly. So let's give us 3 things hunters should know before deer season opens, because you've got dove season and then deer season. So let's get this squared away. What do these guys need to go when going out in the woods?
Well, the most important thing is obviously make sure there are no new laws that have been introduced. Those sort of things we publish in all of our regulation booklets that are available in August. Any new updates, it's on a highlighted chunk in our free books. But really, the biggest thing for landowners, in my opinion, is making sure that permission is still granted.
Yeah.
A lot of landowners, at least in rural Iowa here, having grown up here in a county that Henry County, Iowa, doesn't have a stoplight. We're rural. Those landowners, they really rely on that communication.
Yeah.
And anymore, this younger generation, especially if they can't send a Snapchat with duck lips or a text message like the what I call the grip and grin, where you reach out, shake somebody's hand, and talk to them, is dying by the day. Yep. And it's frustrating. So go make contact with those landowners. Make sure nothing's changed. Make sure they didn't rent it this year, or they don't have a different renter. Or maybe they heard something bad about you at the coffee shop, and they decide you don't want to hunt it. Because the worst thing from my side I can tell you is when I get out there after a landowner calls me, he's like, well, I didn't give Bob or Joe permission this year. Yeah. I asked him, did you talk to him? Well, no. Well, you don't have perpetual permission. It doesn't mean you have permission forever until the time that they decide to kick you off. Plus, and I don't mean this bad, not all of them are this way, but a lot of those landowners, ranchers, they like that conversation. Yeah, they like you swinging by and having to talk with them. There's times I'll have conversations with them, like, I'm sorry to bother you, I know it's getting close to supper. Like, no, come on in, have a steak with us, or sit down. We like talking to you. Like, we like having people visit us.
Dude.
So that's something that's pretty big that I think a lot of people miss the boat on.
Oh, yeah. They 100% do. Jeremy, man, thanks for joining us. Always good to hear from you. And King for Iowa, where can they learn more about you?
You can go you can go check out my website, kingforiowa.com. Jeremy King for Iowa House is my Facebook page. Putting stuff up frequently. I'm engaged in the community and out there, so would love anybody's support.
Yep, go support them. Now, from the corn flooded fields of Iowa, we're going to head out to Oklahoma. And, man, I bet it's sweltering out there, too. We're going to go to Josh Ward. Josh Ward is with Gunpowder Inc. How are you doing, man?
Oh, better than I deserve, KJ. Thanks for having me on. I was going to say, there are definitely no flooded cornfields in Oklahoma right now. So,
is there any water out in Oklahoma?
Yeah, it's a little dry right now, a little crunchy outside. We're kissing triple-digit temps every day. So,
man, I will say, man, when it gets those temperatures, and I remember being in Oklahoma around this time of the year, like at the first of summer, you were mowing your lawn once, maybe twice a week, and then by this time of the year, you may be doing it once every other week because the grass is pretty much dying.
Yeah, it's nice and yellow, very crispy.
It's called a fire hazard.
It is, for sure.
Dude. So you work going from conservation and like talking about the stuff that you buy, having an impact on conservation. You work with a lot of high-powered hunting and outdoor industry brands. Like whether it's on the fishing side, the outdoor side, or in the firearms industry or the clothing industry, Gunpowder seems to do a lot of different things. And I guess let's talk about hunting brands and what makes hunting brands click with real outdoorsmen. I guess that's kind of where I wanted to take this conversation with you.
Yeah. No, that's a great topic of conversation because it's a conversation that happens every day on my side of the shop, right? So we have to talk about those things. And I think that, there's probably two schools of thought. There's one school that overthinks it to a high degree, and then there's another school, probably like me, that kind of says it starts with a product. Yeah. The product has to work. It has to do what it says it's going to do. Performance matters, right? You're paying your hard-earned money, like you were saying a while ago. And I do think we should change the name to the Pittman-Robertson-Jarnagin Act, yes, just to acknowledge your contribution to conservation personally. But, performance matters. The product has to be good. It has to work. And it has to enhance your experience, right? I don't want to spend a lot of money and haul something into the woods for it not to do what it's going to do. It's not going to make my hunt or my day any better. People want products that are durable, intuitively designed. It has to be worth the money. So in my experience in this industry, if it's good, if it works, if it does what it's supposed to, if it enhances your experience, people will pay a premium price for those things if they're able to.
100%. And I mean, you guys and Gunpowder Inc., like, they're kind of marketing and PR masterminds behind a lot of the brands that you guys on the show know. Sitka, Montana Knife Company is another one. Zeiss, Kafaru. A lot of those companies that you guys deal with, man, like I can't pick one out in there that I'm like, I've had a bad experience with that. And it's all like really high end stuff. And it goes to show like those guys are hunters. Those guys are shooters. Those guys like get outdoors. And I think, when you talk about people producing a product or people representing you, like Jeremy is out in Iowa, like you want people who actually do the thing that they're making.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great. Authenticity within this space is paramount. I think that as consumers, also as sportsmen and women, whether it be hunters or shooters, even anglers, we've become pretty savvy and sophisticated in kind of being able to see through the smoke screen of ultra slick marketing or ultra slick production values and promotional videos. We've kind of gotten pretty good at that.
So, okay, so it's like you read a script. So dovetailing into that, so how do we determine between what's made for Instagram and what's made for the field? Because I have tried those Instagram products, like they suck me in, they do, and I know my phone's probably freaking listening to me right now. Like how are we supposed to look at that and go, yeah, that's probably crap?
Well, I don't know that there's an absolute rule of thumb, right? It probably changes by category, whether it be apparel, optics, cutlery, firearms, you name it. And on the fishing side, that's an even more multi-dimensional thing to go through.
The banjo lure.
Yeah. So there are a lot of people in this country who are starting in their backyards. You probably see it more on the fishing side, right? Because fishing is far more diverse in the areas where we fish, the kind of fish we fish for. It's far more diverse. But there are people all over this country that have a passion for one specific aspect of hunting or shooting, and they think they could build a better mousetrap. And a lot of those products, everybody's got to start somewhere. So I don't know that there's necessarily a rule of thumb. For me personally, I've taken some flyers on things that I found online and got, maybe I wasted my money.
Yeah.
I've taken flyers on some other things and found a new brand. And then pretty soon after that, it takes off pretty good.
Yeah.
But I'm old school. Obviously, I had my start in print journalism. And so I still value the opinions of some of our, esteemed people in the outdoor media. And so if I don't have experience with it, I'll call you because you've probably tried it or heard of it or know somebody that does. Or, I'll call somebody at another publication, another outlet and ask them about it. But there are red flags for sure.
We all know those guys that are just always into the gear. And I do fancy myself as a gear nerd just because I'm always surfing and I'm always looking at not necessarily a better way to build it, but a better way to utilize my time in the field. And that's kind of the direction I look. It's one of those things that's it's inherent in my nature to like want to try things and want to like better serve people. Because if I have a bad experience with it, like in the field, I'm not quite a complete idiot, but I feel like, man, like if I can make it work, other people can definitely make it work for them,
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, it's that's the big thing is you never know if brand X or brand Y is going to work for you until you try it.
Right.
Sometimes you do have to take a flyer. It's like trying the new breakfast cereal on the shelf at the store or trying a new beer or so. You got to try it first.
Yeah.
It might be exactly what you need.
I will tell you that one of the brands, like a couple, like all the brands you guys work with are really like high end, but like Kafaru is one of those that, man, when you talk about like the brand you love and the brand loyalty, it all like, I started with a Kafaru 44 mag pack, and this was before I knew you guys had them and were working with them. It was back in the early days when they first launched the 44 mag, and I found this little company, making these. I mean, they're pricey bags, but dadgummit, man, when you need them and when you need to haul something out, they work. I took a flyer on that. I was like, you know what? Let's just see if they work. And it turns out, man, it worked like gangbusters. And so now, like, man, that's the pack that I carry. That's the bino harness I carry, because I found a product that just works for me. And I mean, they have my business forever. I mean, it's incredible how brand love can turn into brand loyalty.
That's right. And, you know, Snoop Dogg, I think, said it best. He said, it doesn't matter what it costs as long as you get what you pay for. So, you know, from the mouth of Snoop Dogg comes all kinds of wisdom. But yeah, Kifaru is a great example because there's no shortage of companies making packs, harnesses, whatever, tents. You can buy that all day long, sourced from all corners of the world. They decided to build stuff that was bomb-proof, right?
Yeah.
They said, people are going to be having a once-in-a-lifetime experience quite often using our gear, and we want our gear to be the last thing that they worry about. And I admire that.
Yeah.
I mean, it is good stuff.
Yeah, it's great stuff. So one really kind of final quick question. I just want to like share a hunting story. So I kind of said, hey, what's the wildest hunt you've ever been on? And why did you leave your tripod in the field?
Well, that's easy answer. The tripod in the field. So it was an old Caldwell dead shot field pod, which is handy as a pocket on a shirt for hunting the backside of wheat fields, especially those big wheat fields in Oklahoma where the elevations change, or when I'm rattling on the side of a hill and you got to see over keeps the gun above the sight line. It was a black powder hunt, and I had been patterning a group of bachelor bucks, and like they do sometimes, they were going to the same place. They just went about 400 or 500 yards to the north of where they were supposed to be. So I had to hot-foot it across a canyon, found the water that they were holding close to, and on the backside of that water was a doe who was about to blow the whole thing. So I had to hunker down, shed a bunch of stuff. Did wind up killing one of the bucks, 30 minutes later. But I realized I can't find my pod. And I think it was found a couple of years later.
I found it a couple of years later. I was walking down tracking a buck, and I was like, I know whose that is.
Yeah. Yeah, so I lost that one. Luckily, I had a spare. But yeah, it's
that's funny.
Never a dull moment. I like bachelor bucks. I know everybody just worships the rut, but I kind of like bachelor bucks because, you know, I need to pattern.
Man, I love to pattern them. They make it easy for you, man. Hey, Josh, dude, thanks for joining us, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, we're going to jump in here with a break. But coming up after this, we're going to stay in the state of Louisiana because I've got Todd Bonura in studio. You want speed, stability, and temp-taming performance? Meet Winchester Stayball 6.5, the world's first temperature-insensitive ball powder from Hodgdon. Great for 6.5 Creedmoor, 270 Winchester, and even your trusty old 30-06. Hey, here is a tip for you. This powder flows really smoothly. You'll get ultra-consistent charges through your thrower, perfect for high-volume reloaders chasing that precision. It's Stayball 6.5, smooth, stable, and smoking fast. Need a laser rangefinder that doesn't guess? Get the Vortex Ranger HD 3000 with 3,000 yard ranging capability, a red display you can actually read in any light, and HCD mode for angle compensation distance. It's like having a spotter in your pocket. Hey, here's a pro tip for you. Before your hunt, you need to go out, you need to range landmarks like trees or rocks around your blind so you're not scrambling when that game shows up. Built rugged, backed by the Vortex VIP warranty, it's the Ranger HD 3000. Looking to level up your hunt and tighten up those groups? Well, look no further than Remington Ammo. Yeah, the stuff in the green box is super accurate, and they've got everything from hunting ammo all the way to NRL like match ammo. So check those out. Remington Premier, from Premier Tip AccuTip to match grade ammunition, all in that green box you love, you trust, and you adore. Find it all at remington.com. Tired of your range time being just mag dumps and Instagram flexing? Inner Range Ready Training Wear Director of Awesomeness and everything else, Chris Serino, turns keyboard warriors into actual warriors. Or something like that. Pretty dang close, I would say. Yeah, the guy's been there, done that. Pistol, check. Rifle, check. Yeah, we got it all. Force on force, we do that every now and then too. Bring your bruises, instructor development. Welcome to the Thunderdome of Learning. It's more than training, it's range ready because real life doesn't come with a respawn button. All right, we're back in studio with Todd Bonura of Maniacal Arms. Todd, welcome in, man.
Thanks, man.
Now, when we've talked about conservation, we've talked about like companies and their production of products. You're on like the end scale, like you're buying a lot of products and people are bringing products to you.
Yeah, all the time.
I mean, it's just a hot rod guns.
Well, I mean, just assembling things and, adding pick rails for bipods, whatever, different stuff.
Cutting slides or whatever it is.
We get to see a lot of different, a big variety of stuff.
So let's talk about like building custom guns because we've had you on before and we've talked about custom guns and what that means for the shooter in the field and you're going to be more accurate and all that stuff. Why is there a negative connotation now around the word stock?
I don't know. I mean, and I don't think there really is because now I feel like
no way
they are making better. Like I feel like manufacturers have stepped up. Not every one of them, but I feel like there are manufacturers of factory rifles now that are making,
good stock.
Very, very good stuff paired with the right ammo and the right optics and, maybe a little tweaking here and there,
Todd, you got to admit the word stock has to be a 4-letter word in your office, in your shop.
It is until we get it, and then we can change it and make it okay. And it's still stock, but we've improved it. We do a lot of accurizing on factory rifles. So,
right. So I guess, what does that look like? Because like when you talk about a guy bringing in whatever it is, a Winchester 94 or a Remington 70 or whatever it is, what does that mean?
I mean, there's, obviously we have a sheet that we go through of checking off things that could be problematic with the rifle that would cause it not to shoot. Mm-hmm. However, there's always, there's like 3 things I can always think of that will improve a rifle like right off the bat. Like a good trigger or adjustment of one if it's adjustable, bedding of the action. A lot of factory rifles don't come bedded, some of them do, and they're done wrong. I had one in the shop a few weeks ago. The guy brought it in. He said, "Man, it was a 6.5 Creedmoor too." And I'm like, "Those always
don't you dare
shoot.
Talk bad about the 6.5."
I'm like, "They always shoot good," and I'm like, "No, I love them."
And it's not.
And it's not. He's like, "Man, it shoots like 5-inch groups," and this was a very reputable, high-end rifle that this guy bought. And so when I went to looking at it, I pull it apart. Well, when they bedded it at the factory, the recoil lug, it was sandwiched in so tight, it took me and Arthur to get the stock apart from the action. So
I have a guess, but I don't want to guess because I think I'm right.
So when that happened, I know right away that's probably this guy's problem. So put the stock in the mill, relieve it, make it like it's supposed to be. Also, the front action screw was completely bedded in the pillar, so it wasn't,
right.
So we get all that fixed. I put it back together, and I called him, and I'm like, "Look, I think I fixed it. I will go shoot it for you, but it's this much more to bring it to the range and all." I said, "But I think it's going to shoot now." And I had just built him a custom rifle a few weeks prior to that. And he goes, "Well, I'm just going to pick it up. I'm going to go to the range and shoot the rifle you built me." And he emailed me like a week ago, and he said, it's hammering now.
Really?
And it was because, so that's always the first thing to check,
Man, because I've got a buddy.
Barrels that aren't free-floated.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Because I've got a buddy who I think is having the same problem with one of his high-end rifles because he's got it, and he's like, I can't make it shoot. And it's like, I think it's a 300 Win Mag.
Right.
Is what he's having problems with. And I bet I would almost guarantee it's the same thing. I would almost bet.
Maybe.
100%.
Maybe.
So I guess we kind of know, but your 3 custom tweaks to guns, like if a guy, let's say he doesn't have a Todd Bonura on staff, like he doesn't have someone he can take it to. What are the 3 tweaks to accurize his rifle that you would suggest?
Aftermarket triggers, if they're available for the gun. A good trigger always improves not just the accuracy of the gun, but just the shooter's experience with it, right? The interface with it.
Okay.
Also, I find that a lot of times guys and gals are set to, this is the ammo I want to shoot. And a lot of times it's not that ammo that really shoots good. So I feel like guys don't take enough time and spend a little extra money to go through, 5 different, it could be the twist of the barrel and they're trying to shoot it too heavy or too light of a bullet for the twist that barrel is in. So then they're kind of, they're going against the grain there, so to speak. So I feel like ammo is a big thing too. Like guys will say, oh, I want to shoot, a Nosler or a ELDX or whatever. That's the bullet that I heard my buddy kills the best with, but it may not shoot out of his gun good. That's
I'm going to have you look at a group. It's about, I would say, 1.25 inch group.
Right.
I think that's all this gun with this ammo could do. And I want to use that ammo, but maybe I try something else in it and it shoots better.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, for sure.
It's like that. Like it's like,
well,
$50 size.
So too, I'm super guilty of this because we hand load for stuff. We try to get these guns to shoot, one ragged hole at 100 yards, But honestly, one MOA gun is a hunting rifle.
I know.
But when you get down that rabbit hole or your buddy's gun shoots better and you want yours to do that,
it's hard though.
A 300-yard shot with an 1.5 inch shooting gun. That's still killing everything.
I know
you shoot,
it's still killing everything you shoot, but you and I are very much like about accuracy. We want the most out of that gun because I've got guns that I know can outshoot me. You're one that you did for Build Box, and then the 6GT you did for me. I know those guns can outshoot me, and that's like I want a gun that can do that. Like that should be
absolutely
what you strive
for.
for.
Because then you take all that out of the equation, and then it's only left on one factor of the shot, and that's the human error of it, right?
That's the idiot behind the gun.
It's kind of, and in a way, that's kind of, among other things, that's when you're building custom,
right?
That's what you're trying to do is eliminate as many factors out of it as possible, and then leave as little left to chance that you can, right?
That is 100%. Like you just summed up what I think is the number one argument to go out and build yourself a custom gun. You're eliminating all the variables.
And two, purpose driven, right?
Yeah.
Like, if a guy's a backpack hunter in the backcountry, you want something light. If a guy just shoots in condo stands in Mississippi, it doesn't have to be as light. It can be heavier to help with recoil and to balance better in the window of the box.
Right.
Stand. So purpose driven too, I think. But yeah, definitely. And look, there's no doubt I've seen it firsthand.
Right.
It increases the
confidence.
Their confidence and what when they're in the rifle, they know it's going to perform like it's supposed to. So it lets them only concentrate on the things they need. They're not wondering, well, is it going to shoot over left or is it? It's all I got to do is squeeze this trigger and it's going to be where
if
I have
I
the
do
crosshairs.
my job.
Right, exactly. If they do their job, it's going to work. Yeah,
that's always the easy way to do. All right, so we go on and I always see guns online, and you see what you've built, like because it's always coming through. You're always throwing up new guns that you built, and anybody within earshot can send their guns into Todd, and he makes them either beautiful and accurate. Like so, anything you want, he can do. But you had one on just yesterday, like just a few weeks ago, that I absolutely was kind of confused by, and I've never heard of before, a 37XC.
Right. So some more people would know of a 6XC.
Right.
Which is a competition round that was developed by David Tubb years ago. He competed with it forever. A lot of guys competed with it. It's a great cartridge. We came out with a new the adaptive target rifle that he designed a few years back, and they came out with a 30, a 33, and a 37 XC, and they're all based on the same case, just necked up, different sizes. I've did a couple 33s over the years for guys that like to compete in the LR and stuff.
But that's like, it's extreme long range. Like
Yes.
That's what that's designed for.
I mean, and look, I know an outfitter in Oregon,
Yeah.
a bear guide that's also a logger. So during bear season, he keeps one in his truck, and it's just to lay prone on the road and kill bears at 1,000, 1,200 yards.
No kidding.
33 is what,
33
is what he runs, yeah.
You have to reload for that.
Yes, yeah. Peterson makes brass for
Yeah.
it that Tub gets and sells, and then you know, projectiles or whatever you want. But just to give you an idea, the 33s that I've built for a guy, built 2 of them for him. 275, 290 grain bullets at 3,400 feet a second.
Holy jeez. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
the 37. When the guy picked it up the other day, I'm going to get to go shoot it. So I'm.
Oh,
hoping
you're
I can-
okay. Good.
Yeah, he's local, close.
Yeah.
So when they go to the shoot long, they're going to call me, and I'm going to try to go. I'll bring my normal with me,
Yeah.
just to play, but I want to shoot it. And he's telling me he thinks with 390 grain A-tip, I think,
Yeah.
2,900
Oh, really?
feet per second,
Okay.
2,950
That's a
maybe.
lot of lead going down. Right?
Yeah, I mean the case, the guy with the 33, I think he told me he puts 134 grains of H50 in it.
Really?
There's a lot of powder. It's a Lapua based cartridge, so it's big around, but it's long too. It holds a lot of
Gee.
that's
crazy.
a lot of propellant.
That's awesome. All right, man, that's a lot. Man, Todd, thank you so much for being on with us.
Thanks for having me again,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Always a pleasure
Dude,
stopping
you're,
by.
You're always welcome on the show. I promise you that. All right. All you gun talk hunters, you know that drill. Keep those muzzles pointed in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.